There's life in water. The movement of water, watching water, can bring us to a place of calm and reflection, and also awe and beauty. It's a part of our life, it's necessary for our life, but it's also a part of our spirituality as people of African descent, in which, in traditional spiritual practices, there's so much about water. Water has the spirit of creativity and of creation, of rebirth, of rejuvenation, of life. And without it, there is no life. And the beginning of life is there within the water, especially right at the place where the water meets the shore. And we find that this beauty of movement, of flow, is present within the dance and the music of Africa and its diaspora. So, in this exploration of urban Jalies and traditional priests rooted in American places, we're looking at the continuation and the retentions of traditional African concepts of storytelling or being a griot through music and dance, as well as traditions from West and West Central Africa of spirituality being embodied. And the idea of priesthood or being a priestess means that the spirit is dwelling within and is present among us. And one of the ways that is happening is through music and dance. It's my belief, my experience, the acculturation process was less complete than we may have perceived, and that in those places, those descendants of Africa, those sons and daughters of Africa, have found ways to translate their cultural identity to fit a new societal reality. And those may have their distinctions, as they should, because throughout Africa, which is a continent with many countries and many diverse people and languages and traditions, there is diversity there. And so amongst the diaspora, there's diversity there as well, where there's a living culture that's responding to what's happening right now. In some places it's drums, in some places there are no drums. In some places there are certain rituals and ceremonies that may outwardly read as this is African, and there are some that may not have been acknowledged as such. There are a number of historians who believe that the acculturation process in North America was so difficult, so challenging, that there's less retention among African Americans, and I don't believe that to be necessarily the case. Is the rhythm and the dance of the Jalies. And the job of the Jalies is to be a griot, an oral historian, and a little bit more than that. It's more than only remembering the history, but then also using that to inform decisions for the future. And this is a tradition in terms of the Jalies that began out of the old Malian Empire, which is in West Africa, and encompasses different territory than the current country of Mali includes today. And one of the very first kings of Mali, Sundiata, from that became a bloodline, which is one of the root word connections to Jali, which is by the blood, a bloodline lineage of using dance and music and the enactment, bringing the experience to life in a way that's dramatic and attention drawing. And all of these mechanisms serve to help you remember. The first dance that I learned was lamban. There was so much I loved about the musicality of it, the grace of it, the flow of the body in it, the costuming and the grand boubas. But the thing that I remember most about it is feeling connected to it as a way of moving that was different, but also connected to the natural way the body can move in space. And in this practice began a continuing evolving and understanding of the connections that were there. But the thing that I come back to in thinking through this exploration is how I learned this, and it was also passed on to me. But the feeling that I wanted to express thoughts, stories, ideas through dance came to me before any of these experiences. And they also came to my mother before any of these experiences. And I find myself in a similar path that she was on before her passing, of uncovering, unrooting our connection to Africa, our connection in culture and in ideology, in religion, and spirituality, and the retentions that exist amongst the African American community.